Men over 50 often wake up in the morning thinking they're starting their day right, but without realizing it, they make one simple mistake that slowly drains their energy. You might notice that no matter how much you sleep, you still feel sluggish, your motivation is low, and even simple tasks feel heavier than they should. The truth is, your morning habits set the tone for your entire day, and the wrong move at the very start can keep you trapped in a cycle of fatigue. Today, I'm going to break down what this mistake is, why it has such a powerful impact on your body as you age, and how you can avoid it to reclaim the energy and vitality you thought was gone for good. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll have a clear and simple strategy to make mornings your strongest part of the day instead of your weakest. When the body first wakes, there is a delicate balance between recovery and demand, a fragile window where your system prepares itself for the challenges ahead. It's in this moment that a single, almost invisible choice can set the tone for the entire day. Many overlook this, believing mornings are simply about getting up, stretching, grabbing something quick, and moving on. But what slips by unnoticed is a trigger so small, yet so powerful, that it determines whether you carry vitality through the day or drag yourself along, wondering why energy seems to vanish before noon. The hidden mistake often comes from what you do in the very first few minutes, before your body has fully transitioned from rest to wakefulness. Think about what happens during sleep. Hormones regulate, cells repair, and energy is restored. But when you suddenly jolt your body into high alert with habits that demand too much too soon, you interrupt that natural rhythm. Instead of allowing your system to gradually awaken and shift into balance, you're shocking it, forcing it to use reserves that were meant to be sustained throughout the day. This creates an immediate withdrawal from your energy bank account. Imagine beginning your day by spending more than you have saved. By mid-morning, you're already running on empty. For many, this hidden trigger is tied to the very first thing they consume or expose themselves to. Some reach for stimulants like strong coffee before hydrating, while others dive straight into screens, flooding their eyes with blue light and their minds with stress before their bodies are even ready. The brain, still adjusting from the restorative phases of sleep, is pushed to process overload in a state of vulnerability. Cortisol levels, already naturally rising at dawn to prepare you for wakefulness, spike unnaturally high with these triggers, leaving you with a false surge of alertness that quickly crashes. The result is not real energy, but a fragile rush followed by depletion. There is also the hidden role of hydration. After hours of sleep, the body is mildly dehydrated, yet instead of replenishing fluids, many choose to deplete themselves further with diuretics or heavy foods. This forces the body to divert precious energy toward digestion and correction instead of fueling clarity and focus. Even worse, this dehydration slows cellular function, meaning every process in your body has to work harder with less efficiency. It feels like sluggishness because it literally is sluggishness. Your cells are struggling to keep up. The first mistake, then, is not about laziness or willpower, but about misunderstanding how fragile those first few moments are. When you wake, you are not fully charged, you are charging. Just like pulling a phone from the charger too early, you can appear ready, but the battery drains much faster. The body craves gentle activation, not immediate demands. The difference between beginning your day with energy versus exhaustion lies in how you treat that transition. Even the smallest environmental cues matter. If you wake and stay under artificial light instead of natural sunlight, your circadian rhythm remains confused, prolonging grogginess. Your body doesn't get the signal that it's time to shift fully into wake mode, so hormones remain imbalanced, energy is uneven, and mental sharpness is dulled. Instead of moving into flow, you stumble into fatigue, and this compounds as hours pass. This unseen mistake also builds habits that reinforce energy loss. When you start the day in deficit, you begin reaching for quick fixes, more caffeine, sugary snacks, or mindless scrolling to compensate. These short-term boosts create deeper crashes, locking you into a cycle that not only drains physical energy but erodes focus, mood, and motivation. What began as one small choice in the morning cascades into a day that feels heavier than it should, a weight you carry without realizing its origin. The hidden morning trigger is not dramatic, it is subtle, ordinary, and repeated daily. That is why it's so dangerous. You don't notice its effect until it has already stolen hours of your productivity and clarity. But awareness is the first step, recognizing that what happens in the very first few minutes after waking sets off a chain reaction means you can reclaim control. Instead of starting in deficit, you can align your body with its natural rhythm, preserve your energy reserves, and extend your vitality into the entire day. As the years pass, the body undergoes quiet but powerful changes that influence how mornings feel and how energy flows. What once felt effortless, waking up refreshed, starting the day with drive, becomes less predictable. The physiology of someone in their 50s and beyond is no longer the same as it was in earlier decades. Hormones, metabolism, and cellular repair systems shift in ways that make mornings more fragile, and the smallest mistake at this time can weigh far heavier on energy than it once did. Understanding this difference is crucial because the body does not respond to stress, food, or stimulation in the same way it used to. At this stage of life, the balance of hormones is not as steady. Testosterone, for instance, often begins to decline gradually, and this affects more than just strength or mood. It influences how energized you feel upon waking. Lower levels make it harder to recover from fatigue and reduce resilience against daily stressors. Cortisol, the stress hormone which naturally rises in the morning to help you wake, becomes less stable. Instead of a smooth curve, it may spike too sharply or linger too long, leaving you with uneven bursts of alertness followed by sudden drops. What this means practically is that habits tolerated in younger years now carry a different weight. That extra cup of coffee, that skipped glass of water, or that rushed start can interact with unstable hormones and magnify fatigue. Metabolism also shifts with age. Muscle mass gradually decreases unless deliberately maintained, and since muscle is a key driver of metabolism, the body burns energy less efficiently. This translates to mornings where the fuel you provide, whether food or drink, has a slower, sometimes more disruptive impact. A heavy or sugary breakfast that might have once felt energizing now causes sluggishness because the body cannot process the surge as effectively. Blood sugar control weakens with age, and sudden spikes are more likely to result in deep crashes later. What feels like a harmless choice in the morning becomes the root of mid-day exhaustion. There is also the way sleep changes with time. Deep, restorative sleep becomes lighter and interruptions more common. Even with the same number of hours in bed, the body may not be achieving the same quality of rest. This leaves mornings more vulnerable as the system begins the day already under-recovered. Add to that the natural dehydration of sleep, the hormonal shifts, and the reduced metabolic efficiency, and it becomes clear why mornings feel different after 50. What was once a simple transition from sleep to wakefulness is now a delicate process that requires care. Stress resilience is another hidden factor. Younger bodies can adapt more quickly to sudden stress, whether it's rushing into the day, skipping breakfast, or going straight to stimulants. But as you age, the nervous system is less forgiving. Stress hormones stay elevated longer, inflammation lingers more easily, and recovery slows. A rushed morning routine that once seemed harmless now sets the stage for an entire day of imbalance. This is why energy feels drained not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. Concentration becomes harder, mood is more unstable, and the desire to push through feels weaker. Even small environmental factors begin to carry greater weight. Exposure to morning light, for example, is far more important now because circadian rhythms, the internal clock that regulates sleep and energy, grow more sensitive with age. Without natural light signaling the body to fully awaken, the hormonal system remains confused, prolonging grogginess. It is not laziness, it is biology adapting differently. And the mistake most make is ignoring these changes, continuing to follow routines that no longer serve the body's new reality. The difference in how energy is processed at this stage is also cumulative. Decades of habits, whether healthy or harmful, show their effects more clearly now. A body that once compensated for poor hydration, erratic meals, or constant stress no longer has the same reserves. Each morning becomes a reflection of how well or poorly you've supported your system over time. The energy drain isn't sudden. It is the result of years of small imbalances catching up. But this also means that correcting them, even in simple ways, can have a dramatic effect. The aging factor is not about decline alone, it's about awareness. When you understand that the body no longer responds to mornings in the same way, you stop treating yourself as though nothing has changed. This awareness shifts how you see the first hours of the day, not as routine background, but as the foundation for everything that follows. By respecting the changes in hormones, metabolism, sleep, and stress resilience, you begin to see why avoiding that hidden mistake becomes essential. Instead of draining what little energy you start with, you protect it, strengthen it, and allow it to grow throughout the day rather than disappear before noon. When the wrong choice is made at the very start of the morning, it does not just affect a single moment, it sets off a chain reaction that follows you for hours. This is the energy crash cycle, a process where one small disruption in the body's natural rhythm creates a domino effect of fatigue, loss of focus, and diminished motivation. At first, it may feel like you are managing, but beneath the surface, your body is already compensating, already burning reserves faster than it can restore them. What begins as a subtle dip soon becomes a spiral that leaves you drained by midday, wondering why your strength and clarity seem to vanish without warning. The cycle often starts with the rush of artificial stimulation. Many rely on strong caffeine or sugar to force the body into alertness. Initially, this feels effective. A surge of focus, a boost of energy, the sense that you're finally awake. But the body is not receiving true fuel, it is being pushed, like a car running on borrowed fumes. Blood sugar rises sharply with that quick breakfast pastry or sweetened coffee, and cortisol surges higher than it naturally should. This artificial peak is unstable, and within a short time, the body is forced to correct it. Blood sugar drops, cortisol dips, and suddenly the rush transforms into exhaustion. That feeling of crashing mid-morning is not random. It is the direct result of the chain reaction triggered hours earlier. What makes this cycle dangerous is that it tricks the brain into seeking more of the same fixes. When energy drops, the instinct is to reach again for caffeine, sugar, or another quick stimulant. This temporarily lifts you again, but at the cost of pushing the crash further and deeper. Each spike creates an equal and opposite dip, and the more you chase the highs, the harder the lows become. By afternoon, the body is stuck in survival mode, with adrenaline and stress hormones doing the heavy lifting just to keep you moving. This is why many feel wired but tired, unable to fully relax yet unable to sustain focus. The crash does not stop at physical tiredness, it extends into mental clarity. The brain relies heavily on steady glucose and oxygen delivery to function at its peak. When the morning mistake destabilizes these levels, the brain struggles to maintain focus. That foggy feeling, the sense of being distracted or forgetting small details, is not weakness of will, it is chemistry. Your neurons are starved of consistent energy, and their performance reflects it. Creativity drops, problem-solving feels harder, and even conversations feel heavier. The energy crash cycle robs not just the body's strength, but also the mind's sharpness. Another layer to this cycle is digestion. When the wrong foods are introduced too early, heavy, processed, or laden with sugar, the digestive system demands enormous energy to break them down. Instead of energy being directed toward alertness and muscle readiness, it is funneled into the gut. This leaves you feeling sluggish even if you have technically consumed calories. It is like filling the tank of a car with fuel that clogs the engine. Energy is present, but it cannot be accessed efficiently. The cycle continues with bloating, discomfort, or cravings that send you reaching for yet another quick fix. Sleep quality is also affected by this pattern. When the day is dominated by artificial highs and deep lows, the body loses its natural rhythm of energy. By nightfall, instead of gently winding down, stress hormones remain elevated. This makes it harder to fall asleep or stay asleep, reducing the restorative power of rest. The next morning begins not at baseline but already in deficit, and the cycle repeats itself, often worsening over time. What feels like random tiredness is actually a carefully patterned loop, reinforced day after day by the same morning mistake. The emotional weight of this cycle is heavy as well. When energy is inconsistent, mood often follows. Irritability, impatience, or lack of motivation are not signs of character flaws. They are symptoms of a system swinging wildly between peaks and valleys. Relationships, work performance, and even self-esteem can suffer when you feel you cannot trust your own energy. The frustration of knowing you slept enough, ate something, and yet still feel exhausted compounds the problem, creating stress that further fuels the crash. Breaking free from this cycle requires recognizing that the body does not run on quick fixes. It runs on rhythm and balance. Energy is not created by pushing harder, it is preserved by stability. The morning mistake destabilizes everything, but when corrected, it restores the possibility of steady vitality. Instead of starting the day with a spike and chasing balance all day long, you begin on stable ground and carry that foundation forward. The difference is not subtle. It is the difference between dragging through hours and flowing through them with purpose. The body thrives on rhythm, and the way you begin your morning determines whether that rhythm supports or sabotages you for the rest of the day. After understanding how fragile that first window is and how easily a wrong move can create an energy crash cycle, the natural question becomes, how do you reset? The right reset does not require extreme effort, expensive routines, or complicated hacks. It is about making a deliberate shift in those first 10 minutes, giving the body what it naturally craves, and aligning with its built-in systems rather than working against them. This gentle reset changes the trajectory of the entire day because it prevents the early drain and instead unlocks the body's ability to generate real, lasting energy. The most fundamental part of this reset is hydration. After 7 or 8 hours of sleep, the body is mildly dehydrated. Every organ, every cell, and even brain function is slowed until water replenishes what was lost overnight. Reaching for stimulants first without this step deepens the dehydration, forcing the body to work harder and stealing energy before you've even begun. A simple glass of water upon waking is not just refreshing. It signals your system to start up smoothly. It restores circulation, supports metabolism, and gives your brain the fluid it needs to operate clearly. This one act is like priming the engine before driving. It ensures everything runs more efficiently. The next layer of the reset is light exposure. The circadian rhythm is controlled by light, and your body needs a clear signal that night is over. Stepping into natural sunlight, even for a few minutes, tells your internal clock to regulate cortisol, melatonin, and energy production correctly. Without this cue, grogginess lingers and hormones remain confused, dragging you into fatigue. Natural light also boosts serotonin, the precursor to melatonin, ensuring not only better alertness in the morning, but better sleep later at night. In other words, the right reset at dawn plants the seed for energy that lasts the entire cycle of 24 hours. Breath also plays a role. After hours of shallow breathing during sleep, the body benefits from intentional oxygenation. Deep, slow breaths in the morning send oxygen flooding into the bloodstream, waking cells, and supporting the nervous system. This is not about lengthy meditation unless you choose. It can be as simple as pausing for a few mindful inhales and exhales while standing in the light. It calms stress, sharpens focus, and gently transitions your body into wakefulness without the jarring shock that triggers the crash cycle. Movement, even minimal, is another essential part of the reset. The body does not need intense exercise immediately, but it does need activation. Stretching, a few squats, or a short walk engages muscles, pumps blood, and signals to the brain that it's time to awaken fully. This physical cue works with hydration and light exposure to complete the message: the night is over, and the body is ready to perform. Skipping this step leaves circulation sluggish, making energy feel trapped rather than accessible. The right kind of movement in the morning is like switching on the entire system, preparing it to respond with strength and clarity rather than heaviness. What's powerful